Hi, I'm Jayline. I'm a drum and bass producer and DJ from Basildon in Essex. I make music for Sound Bully Audio, Low Down Deep and Line Dump International. I'm here today to share with you some of my tips for making your very own drum and bass track.
Pull up that! Thames Delta! Top of London thing, we have the Essex swing.
Right, so we are going to open Logic and start constructing ourselves a beat. So I have done a little preparation already and got myself samples together to make a drum beat. So I've got myself some loops and kicks and snares and hats and stuff. So first of all, I'm going to put in one of these loops. And we are set to 175 BPM. And I usually make my tracks in E or F. Doesn't mean that you have to make yours in E or F. You can do your tracks in any key you like, but I just like that area because it's a good sub-bass sweet spot. But yeah, so here. Right, so I'm just gonna turn all of my stuff down a little bit because you don't want your levels this loud on your track. So you can pick like a starting volume. I'm gonna just turn everything down 10 decibels. You'll notice it's quite a bit quieter, but that gives me room to move. If you notice now there's no red, just in the green. So yeah, I've got a couple of loops here. I've got that nice little loop that has been supplied from one of my sample packs. That is forthcoming. And let's find another little loop we got here from, here we go. Here's a break from one of my other tracks. Really loud. So we're just going to whack it in here. Turn that down to -10. You can do that like that, or you can double click and just click -10 and it will take you straight there. Shortcut keys are also very, very handy. If you need to get the tool window up, you just press T and it brings you this. So if you need to cut anything, like we're going to do right now, I can just slice that right there. Press T and there's your pointer tool and you're back where you started. So I'm going to go with this pattern for now, which is a normal standard drum and bass beat pattern. I like to get some loops in, some breaks, like live breaks that have been timed up and quantized properly, and you can get breaks like that from sample packs or services online where you can get like subscription services where you can get samples from. I won't be saying any names, but you can go and have a look at those. Let's get a kick in next. So I've got some kicks here. They're going to be really loud, so I'm just going to put them in here like this. Again, let's turn that level down. My kick's probably not going to be quite as -10, but let's just put it in there for now. So we know that all the levels are the same. I'm just going to put the kick where it needs to be. So our second kick needs to go right here. So I'm just going to shorten this sample like that. And just select it, just to make the sample nice and neat. If you go over to this side here, that little fade out bit. So if you select your sample and just slide up, you'll notice the more I slide up, the more you see that fade going in and out. So let's just get that fade, just so you can see it coming in slightly, just taking off the end of the sample. Sweet, now that kicks nice and tight and hasn't got as much overlay. And you know, where we've cut it short like that, it doesn't go into the next sound because you want to put a snare after the kick. So we're going to just put our kick over the top of where your kicks are going to be going. And in this pattern, that is slice number 1 and slice number 13. So that's one layer of kick we've got there. If I just solo that, you can hear the kick on its own. This is just a fundamental kick, so it's the very low end of the kick and everything else has been taken out. So just to get a bit more of a bigger sound on a kick, we've got another kick there, and I'm going to put that kick in to the same pattern. So same as we've done before, bring that kick in like that. We'll get that level and lower it down to our preset. Remember, you can move it or you can just double click and go to -10. And again, like, it doesn't have to be -10 if you're making music. Just try and bring it, when you're making music, just try and bring all your sounds out of the red. And then you've got a good place to run from there. So again, I'm just going to shorten this sample down because we only want the sample to hit where it's hitting and nowhere else. Because even though there's some dead sound on that, it's still going to count to the volume. So we'll take off what's not needed, aka we will trim the fat. Right, so we want to fade the end of that out a little bit again. So once again, we tap on the sample that we want to fade out, come over to the region. If you can't see it, that little tab there, it's probably just been clicked like that. So if you can't see the regions tab, you just need to click that at the top and it gives you this list. And if you still can't see the fade in and fade out, it's because that little tab on the more is unchecked. So you just click that tab there if it's not already open, and then click on the more tab and it will give you the pieces that we're using right now. So back to here, let's just copy this sample into all the same places where the other kick is. Good tip, shortcut keys for copying and pasting, so it's a lot quicker for you. The Alt key, if you're using a Mac, if you pick up something and hold down the Alt key, you will see a little green arrow pop up, just like that. And that means you can copy it. And I'm just going to copy that there like that and just show you another shortcut quickly. You press Command and Z together, it means undo. So where I've just copied that in, I'm just going to Command Z, undo. So there we go. We've copied in 2 kicks as the layers over the top of our break, and it sounds like this right now. So just to remind you what we've got here so far, I'll just take you through the samples. So we've got the first loop. Then we've got the second loop. Then we've got the first kick. That first one's just a nice low end of a kick. And then we've got the last kick. It's got some noise to it, you know, so you play them 2 kicks together. Nice big thick kick with some noise. And then all of that together, you've got a nice kick and breaks. And you're almost, it's almost sounding like a drum beat already. So now we want to put in ourselves we want to put in a snare. That's a nice like clappy snare. Really high pitched one. So the beat that we've got has got some kind of high pitchy breaks in there. So let's try that snare for one. Let's just put it on the channel and we'll move it to where it needs to go. Just there, because that's where our snare's hitting. See on the break just above it. On that line, they're the snares in the break. So obviously it's too loud for the minute, so remember to turn our channel down. And also shorten our sample because we don't need all of that. If we just shorten that like that, and we put our snares in their places. There we go. That's it, just copy these over. And give yourself snare layers. Like that. So now we've got a kick and snare in the place that they need to be, that are strengthening the kick and snare in the break. Let's see what other snare layers we've got in here. That's a nice high snare, that one. So we want a bit of a lower layer now. Maybe not for this tune, but maybe not them ones. Let's have a look at these ones here. See, like, you'll go through samples sometimes, and when you're going through them and picking the samples that you want, they might all sound really good as you're playing them, like, singularly, you know, but then you've got to try and find sounds that are going to sound right together. So sometimes it might take you a little while to put some stuff together and change it out for something else to see if it sounds better than the other sounds. Sometimes you might want to change the key of some things, like pitch them up or pitch them down, just to see if it you can move that sound into key with the rest of your drums a bit more. But yeah, have fun with it. Have a little fiddle, and you never know what you might come up with. Most of making music is happy accidents anyway. Right, I like that snare. Let's go with that one. Once again, let's put it onto the next channel. Let's turn that down. So the number that we are working with today is -10. And that is just so I can take all the sounds out of the red. Like I said before, if you can see on here, this one's a real tight, short snare, and it starts there and finishes here. This one starts there and finishes all the way over there. So you can actually make this one hopefully about the same size like we did before. Just shorten that sample, select it, go to the fade out, and then you can kind of fade the end of the sample. So hopefully now, so you've got that thicker layer over the top now. Let's see if it does need to be that short. There we go, that's nice. So now I'm going to do the same thing, just get this snare layer and copy it to where all our snares are placed. Just like this. So now we have two breaks, we have two kicks, there's two different layers of the kick, and we have two snares that are giving us two different layers of snare as well. Strengthen your sounds. Then next after that, I'd probably go for some percussion, as in like hi-hats, some rides maybe. I know that there's hi-hats and rides in your loops already, but we'll get to how we can mould stuff in, because we're going to use something called an EQ afterwards. I'm sure everybody has probably seen an EQ or knows an EQ or has used one before. I will show you what the EQ is used for and how to use it and why to use it. When you're making drums, it's always good to have what we call fundamentals, and they are like the foundation sounds that you're going to use in your drums. And those will be the drums that you'll find on a drum kit. So you'll have a kick, you'll have a snare, you'll have hi-hats, you'll have cymbals. Sometimes you'll have tom drums for drum rolls and fills. But right now we're using kick, snare, hi-hats, maybe a ride as well if I find a nice ride. So let's see these hats that we have. All right, that's a nice hat. That's a nice short hat. And that's a nice long hat. So now them long hats there, I like to use those on the snares, because it gives the snare a little bit of a crystally shimmer. But what I'm going to do right now is get one of these hats, bring it in here like this, and I'm going to make a straight pattern. So with this hat, I'm going to make a pattern that is 4/4 to the beat, which means within one bar it is equally 4 separate beats. So one bar is from 1 to 2, and we are going to put a 4/4 beat in there with the hats. So that means just one after the other to fill up the loop. And on its own, it sounds like this. With the beat, it sounds like this. Oh, a little slip up there. Just move that slightly to the wrong place. You know, you make little mistakes sometimes, and you'll hear it And just quickly rectify it if you hear something wrong. Right, sweet. So we've got our little 4/4 pattern. I'm going to select this and copy it, just like we did with everything else. So we've got our 4-bar pattern laid out. You've got different hat patterns that you can do. You can go, or you can do like a half hat pattern where it goes, and that's what I'm going to do here. Get that little short hat, and I'm going to lay it, not there, lay it here, like this. So once again, just copy that pattern out. And this hat sounds really loud again because we've not turned it down yet, but this one's going to be quite quiet when we eventually get round to leveling all of the channels. One more in the end, like that. Let's turn that level down. See, once I've got all my stuff in, we're going to go back to these on the mixer, which is just here. So when we actually got all our sounds in, we're going to come here and start mixing the channels up and down just to make everything in the right place. Is that? So let's have a listen to. There we go. So we've got a nice little pattern there. So just for now, just so you know how this is going to sound, I'm going to have that one quite quiet. So it just gives the hat a bit of rhythm, bit of swing. But yeah, let's just put that back there for now. There we go. That other hat that I had there, I'm going to put that, like I said, over the snare. So let's just get it in, put it there like that. Let's just make it a bit shorter. And there we go. Copy these, put these in place. Like so. Make sure everything's on the line. Yep. Right, get rid of that. Ah, see, I made a little mistake there still. That one's just out slightly. I think we're good now. Right, so we've got everything we need. Them hats that we put in, now if I just play the hats together. Got a little hat pattern going. Just so you can hear them on their own. And now if I play the kicks and the snares without the breaks and just the hats, just so you can get an idea of what everything sounds like separately. It's good to do this as well, just so in your ear you've got an idea of your levels, where if you want to turn anything down, if anything needs to come up, this is where we'll go from here. So if I just unsolo that. Now I'd say pretty much for the fundamental beat, I've got everything that I want in. I might put a ride in, and a ride is a long cymbal. That's a ride. So actually, I'm going to put a ride in there anyway, just to show you what they're for. So it helps you do exactly what it says on the tin. So it helps the beat ride. It gives you a sense of movement. There we go. So I'm going to put no ride in the first two, and then ride in the second. Right, so we've got all of our drum samples in now. This isn't where they're going to go in the track per se, but like I said before, preparation is super important. The biggest tip I could give anybody is to be kind of organised with the start of making your track. Because if you can get an idea in your head, you can spend so many wasted hours just trying to throw some things around. Unless there's a little bit of formula in what you're doing, a bit of a direction in what you're doing, like a recipe, if you like, it can be, you can just waste a lot of time just going over things that you might not need to go over, spending a bit more time on things that you don't need to spend time on. So if you want to quite simply just make a drum beat, make a tune, get an idea down, this is probably the best way to do it. Just be simple, make your drum loop. And then once you've got your drums, go to the next part, get your, whatever your intro idea might have been, start putting getting the sounds together for that. But right now, with the drums, like I said, we've got all our samples in. I'm going to start getting the levels where they need to be and making things sound right against each other.
So I want to say thank you for watching and keep in tune with Thames Delta Radio, because this station is for the people. This station is for the people. You understand? This is a people's thing. It's a community thing. It's our thing. So let us support this thing.